One topic related to the Gabby Petito documentary is the relationship between Brian and his mother. And it's had a lot of discussion for very good reasons. It's a very bizarre relationship on the surface to people who have healthy relationships with their children and parents. But it's not a bizarre relationship whenever we're talking about these highly dysfunctional families with maybe some sort of cluster B personality disorder from either the parent or the child. And that can be interrelated as well. But what we often see, which is what we see in the case, I believe, of Brian and his mom, is a parent who has a golden child, a child that can do no wrong and is idolized and borderline worship. They're deemed perfect in the parent's eyes. And we oftentimes see this between mothers and their sons whenever we're dealing with personality disorders. And being the golden child might sound great, but it's also very, very stressful. There's a lot of pressure put on that child to perform well. And the parent, who is probably has some sort of personality disorder as well, harvests off their children. So their children's accomplishment or reputation or good deeds or good grades or, success in sports, the parent will harvest that good attention and basically place it on themselves. So their child is like a reflection of who they are. And so if anything is done to damage their child or their child's reputation or to harm their child in every way, the toxic parent will view that as a direct hit on them and their self-esteem. And so what we'll oftentimes see is that we have a parent that is harvesting off of the golden child. And the golden child can and often does have narcissistic traits or tendencies because they're told their whole life that they're perfect and wonderful and can do no harm. And their parent will lie and cover and protect them at all costs because, again, if the child is perceived in any way to be wrong or in a negative light, it's a direct reflection on the parent. So there aren't healthy boundaries between the parent and the child. And in this case, the mom goes as far as to say, if you're in jail, I'll bake a nail file in the cake so that you can saw your way out. Or if you have a body to dispose of, I'll bring the shovel and help you do it. Now, most of us love our children profoundly, and we say we will do anything for our children. However, that kind of ends whenever they murder someone. We might not be willing to cover up a murder for our child, even though we love our child profoundly. But this woman has no qualms about not only thinking that in her head, even if we thought it in our head, I don't think most of us would ever have the audacity or the gall to write it down. We'd be like, oh my gosh, we shouldn't think those thoughts. Those aren't good thoughts to think. But then to take it a step further and write it down and put on the letter burn after reading, she's making it very clear to her son that she is going to stand by him and stick up for him no matter what he does, to include murdering an innocent 20-some-year-old woman. Now, in my case, in my story, murder wasn't an issue. Obviously, I'm still alive. However, that same dynamic to a lesser extent was definitely there between my ex and his mom, to the point of whenever my ex and I would have marital problems, he'd go and run to his mom and tell her about these problems, and then she would attack me. And one time he was visiting his parents, and I caught him basically drinking and driving, and I also caught him looking at pictures of former students. Now, these were people of age, so it's not like a pedophile situation, but there were power dynamics, and he was married to me, so he shouldn't have been looking at them anyways. And whenever I called him out on it, he ran to his mom, and his mom texted me, berating me and accusing me of being jealous, of ruining her time with her son, of making her son look bad, quick to defend him, to include saying that in Texas, there's nothing wrong with that, and it's perfectly normal for a man to do these things. And it just reminds me of, obviously not on the same scale as Brian's mom, but of the same pattern where this golden child, in this case, the son, can do no wrong. And the mom, who harvests off of her children, will defend them to the bitter end, no matter what they do.